Hello, welcome back to Marissa Knits. I'm going to be sharing what I made this summer, basically July and August, and it's September 1st, and I only have, spoiler alert, I only have 1,500 grams left in my stash. It's exactly 1,500. I didn't even do that on purpose. I totaled up my spreadsheet this morning, and that is what it told me. So God bless for that nice even number. So I have plans for like most of my leftovers and my remaining like one skein things that I have in stash. I don't think I know, I do not have more than one ball of any of this yarn. Okay, like I do not have two balls of yarn that are the same. I don't. So that's where we're at. Sometime this fall, you're gonna get to watch me go shopping. That'll be fun. Anyway, we're gonna start off with some things that I remade. I have two items from previous falls that I completely reknit. Like, I took them apart down to just the yarn and I remade them this summer. That was kind of a crazy thing to do. Thank you to the commenter who told me I looked uncomfortable in this shirt. This is the campanula tee. It was too tight. I had done a bunch of decreases here. I had to rip all the way back to about here to before I had done the decreases. And you can like actually, if you really look close, you can see the line from where I ripped back to. But I don't think as an entire garment it's that noticeable because it's like right at the underbust and no one's going to be staring at that anyway because that's a weird thing to do. I did have to steam this yarn so that I wouldn't be knitting this rib with really wavy yarn. Now the rib's not perfect. I could have done better, but I'm decently happy with it. I feel like it looks pretty consistent. The rib looks better up here than it does down here in like that moment, but I'm pretty happy with it. I ended up doing some extra increases here so that I could be sure I used up all of my yarn. Total, this used 150 grams of knitting for olive fingering weight in unicorn purple. The pattern is for sport weight, so I adjusted my needle size. And I adjusted like what size I was doing to accommodate for that, but then I knit to like the lengths in my actual size, if that makes sense. I think I talked about that more in my other video. It still is really tight. The fact that I added like 30 or 40 stitches back into the body and it is still tight and it still like ripples around my midsection, like that's crazy that it's still that form-fitting after I went back and like didn't do any decreases. I had made this hat last year. If you really want to see what it looked like the first time, you can go find my 2024 wrap-up video. It will be somewhere in there. I ripped up the entire thing. This one I didn't have to steam. I actually blocked it the second time I made it. So this pattern, I looked at so many hat patterns looking for one that had the top shaping that I like. Now I wish that it laid on the head more like that, more like a cylinder at the top and was less gathered there, but it's possible that over time I can like stretch out that way. I'm not sure. It's already looking better. I don't want it to be pointy at the top. It comes across as pointy, but that's fine. So the shaping I ended up using for the top of this hat is from a free pattern by Annabelle Williams on Ravelry. I will link it, called Burrow Beanie. And what I love about it is I do not really like hats that have the 4 lines of increases so that no matter what, there's like one on top of your head. And like 6 increases or 8, like 6 or 8, where it's like a cylinder spirally thing on your head. That's even worse. I don't typically like those. Like that's not what I want all my hats to look like. Like maybe one would be fine, but I don't want multiple hats like that. So I wanted one that had just the 2 rows of increases so that it is like this shape. That's what I wanted. And I ended up making a reversible hat. So this is the ribbed side and you can see it still is pointy at the top. But this time I had leftover yarn, like quite a bit of leftover yarn the last time I made this hat, and this time I used all of my yarn up. So I took note of at what point I was here and I weighed my yarn for both halves of the fold over section And you can see like the top of my ear is right here and the bottom of my ear is right here. So you can see that the 4 layered section, this is a reversible hat. So when you fold the brim of it up, there's 4 layers of fabric on top of your ears. You can see it's wide enough that it fits over my ear. It's nice and thick. So this is the ribbed side. And then the stockinette side, I should have done like a little bit more rows of stockinette than what I had, but it is functional. So this, you can see, you can like almost see the rib on top of that. So I just need to like make sure I roll the rib inside when I'm like preparing to wear it. I actually like the stockinette side very, very much. So there we go. That is my version of the burrow beanie hat. And I do need to stick this back in. I don't even know how that happened, to be honest. I love these decreases. I had some pooling, but it doesn't look terrible. At least the light colors are like on the sides. It's like dark, light, dark, light. I had some pooling. It wasn't the absolute worst. I didn't have pooling really in my rib. The rib just looks like stripes. So I'm very happy with my reversible fall hat. In order, I'm gonna take this apart for you. So this is what it looks like. So in order, you can see the rib is always gonna be tighter. I should have done a little bit more of this stockinette, but I don't have any more yarn, and overall I'm happy with it, so it is what it is. So in order to have the brims match the top, you have to do them in opposite order, because when you fold this up, this is upside down like that, and then this is what's on top, and vice versa. So I'm sure that makes sense. I had to think about this really hard and like imagine in my mind like rolling up the tube multiple times. But just so you know, if you're wanting that same look that I did, I started here, I ribbed all the way down until when I rolled it up, I was pretty happy with how high up it got, like the brim. Then I weighed my yarn, and then I knit the stockinette and another ribbed section. I also did like a lot of increases here, so that I did like some increase rows. They're right here on the sides. Those are my increases. So I added some stitches, I think 16 stitches, to the brim so that it would be wider, because the brim has to go over multiple layers of fabric. So if it's the same width as the part that's like really tight on your head, it's gonna get tight. And I also knew I had to use up a lot of yarn, and I wanted the fabric on the brim to like still lay nicely. I didn't want it to be stretched out a lot more than the fabric that was on top of your head, if that makes sense. Also, part of the reason I was doing the stockinette, I wasn't even necessarily planning to wear it. I just wanted something like the inside of the brim. When I had the hat entirely ribbed and I folded it over, the brim, like the 4 layers of rib on top of each other, were so thick and like chunky, and there was a lot of air in them. There's a lot of space in ribbing, I feel like. And so it didn't want to lay flat and like stay on my head the way that I would have preferred. And so that was my thought process for this. So yeah, it's a tube. I've finally found some shaping, and the shaping is a free pattern. The burrow beanie is a free pattern, so you can get this shaping for free. What I would do if I was gonna do it again was cast on like a row of like 20 stitches up here, so that the top of it was more just like this shape, and then do the increases from there. So yeah, this is my fall hat. I reclaimed my fall hat yarn from last year, and I made myself this fall hat. Great. We love that. These are my leftovers. I'm just gonna keep this. I don't know. I might knit it into some striped socks, or I'm not sure if I should keep it in case I ever get a snag on this hat. What shall we do next? Sorry for the crinkling that's about to happen. Let's do these baby knits next. I have them in a bag because this friend is allergic to my cat. So my friend had a baby boy in May. This is the Rockin Robin sweater. It also comes in like a Christmas version where there's like a detachable Santa hat that you can put on it, but I decided not to do that. So it's a pattern knit flat in tarja. There's a robin. The eye, you put on a button to be the eye. The beak is embroidered and the feet are embroidered. And then I haven't been able to give this to her yet because there's actually supposed to be more buttons. There's supposed to be 6 buttons on the top total. I took this and some needle and thread and a whole bunch of other projects. I packed them in the car and we went to the zoo and to a wedding out of town, like in the same day. So we had my sister-in-law in the back of the car, who's a super good friend of mine. All 3 of us are friends, actually. This is a very convoluted story, but I'm like showing this to my sister-in-law. She's like, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen. And then I would sew on a foot, and she's like, that's so cute. I was sewing on the beak. I was like, what do we think? She's hyping me up. She's like, I love that. It's so cute. So, but as I'm doing this, I hate every moment of this. I'm like, I hate sewing. This sucks. Like, this is terrible. This is the most unhappy I've ever been. I'm like complaining the entire time. She's like, that's adorable. I'm like, what do we think of the feet? She's like, we love them. I'm like, thanks. I hate this. So I sewed on 4 of these buttons, and then, like, I'm almost done, right? This is 3 weeks ago that this happened. So I have 2 more buttons, and they do not fit through this buttonhole, because this buttonhole is, like, on the top of the fabric, and this buttonhole, I think I must have, like, sized down. I don't know. But these buttons do not fit through this buttonhole. Like, maybe I could, but I didn't want to stretch this out a lot. So I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to sew on 2 smaller buttons to the neckline. And I haven't done that yet because I hate sewing. In my defense, it's summer, and this is like in the 12 to 18 month size. And her baby is very large, but he doesn't need a sweater right now, and he's only 4 months old. So, yeah. And that's the hat I made for her I'm just going to give it to her so she can wear it this fall. I had these, this is also for the same baby. You can see I've done the ugly, swirly, 6-way decreases at the top because it's for a baby and I don't care. It's hard to tell on camera. It's like a forest green. If you are not American, or you do not know any, or you are American but you know nothing about football, I live in Wisconsin. Unfortunately, these are the Packer colors. I completely used up this green, which is a win. Like, this green is gone. Destashed the green. The yellow's left over from a sweater that had bees on it that I made my father-in-law, so it's like, the color is called pollen. These are Packer colors. It looks more green in real life, actually. It doesn't look as dark on camera. These are Packer colors. To me, they are the ugliest dang thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, this to me is hideous. They're terrible together. The yellow is too bright. The yellow and green, like, yellow and green can go together, but not these shades. And it's very specific. Like, the green's a very bold, deep green, and the yellow is bright. It's like a gold. The colors are green and gold. And this has been surrounding me everywhere, in stores. My own family wears these jerseys. Everywhere. Everywhere I've been my entire life, I have been surrounded by this. And it's ugly. But I had leftovers, and I looked at my leftovers, and I was like, those are Packer colors. But my friend, she goes to football games and stuff. It was between her or my nephew. I did rows of just knit stitch to change the colors here so that there wouldn't be the line with the multiple colors that you get in rib that's ugly. So I did like 6, 7 rows of rib with color changes in between, and then I knit quite a bit of a hat. I have the baby's head measurement, and I followed just online Googling like newborn head pattern size things. I'm worried it's a little short, but like I said, I ran out of green, and when I was running out of green, I just did like the yellow at the top, And so hopefully that's fine. So I need to make sure I give that to her soon because unfortunately the Packer games have already begun, like the preseason. And so unfortunately that child is going to be wearing that very soon. I'm sorry to be such a bum about it, but that's ugly. It doesn't look, I'm sorry, you don't care, but it doesn't look good. I just have to give a disclaimer that I don't think it looks good. I'm not happy about it. I'm just happy to get it out of my house. Next, we're gonna explore some socks. Earlier in the year, I was buying a bunch of someone's fingering weight yarn that it was already caked up, so there was no labels, just random. She weighed it and had it all priced out by gram, very affordably. I bought some sock yarn from this Reddit post from this person who had all this caked up fingering leftovers. And so a lot of that, 2 of them I knit into socks for my aunts, I'm pretty sure. One of them was for my cousin, one was for my aunt, something like that. And then I had shown my husband, there's 80 yarns in this photo. I'm like, what one, do you want one? Do you like one of these? And this was in March, and he picked this. He's like, oh, I like that one. I'm like, that's Christmas yarn, honey. That's Christmas yarn. I just know it's Christmas yarn because it's green and red and white sock yarn. I'm like, that's Christmas yarn. He's like, okay. He's like, I think it looks cool. So I made him, in my mind, I'm calling these Christmas in July socks because I was going to make them in the fall, but I like the Christmas yarn. I don't know. It just, men's socks take a long time, and I wasn't sure at what point in the fall I would want to work on Christmas socks. And you'll see later, but I have very little sock leftovers left. I have some for myself that are specifically fall colors, and then I have 2 spring colors as well. So it was near the start of July, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start making his Christmassy socks, and we're gonna call them Christmas in July. I had to use a bunch of leftover white. There's white in the heel as well. And then this gray is actually left over from his mom's socks, and this brownish red is from a mini from a different sock set. And then I ran out of the red, and I didn't want to do gray on the toe, so I used one of my leftover Advent colors for the toe. So these are my husband's plain Christmas in July socks, made this summer for him. I'm pretty happy with them. They're cute. I've made him socks before. I do 80 stitches for him, typically. So after I did that, I had been looking at, I don't have that many sock leftovers actually. So this is my other manly sock color, and these are for my friend's husband. Unfortunately, even though I made them at exactly the same time, I had a needle on the inside of the yarn and then a needle on the outside of the yarn, one of them pooled crazy. There's just a brown chunk there, and then this, that pooling is just extremely pooled on this sock, and the other one isn't pooled. It's sort of pooled, but in a diagonal way, not in a giant splotch of brown way. So they sort of look nothing like each other. But that's part of the charm, you know? So these are for my friend's husband, Tom. Thankfully, he has slightly smaller feet than the other man I've made socks for. I actually went down to 76 stitches, I'm pretty sure, on the top, or 78. So I did just a couple stitches less on his socks. And they use 80 something grams of yarn, which is great. So this color was, I'm pretty sure, Barnyard is the name of the brand. And this is their March sock set. I don't know what year it was from. I got it secondhand on Reddit. It was a different post than this Christmas yarn. So I am basically out of my Reddit sock yarn buys of the year. I have one left. I'll explain what one that is, but that one is for me. So these are my men's socks. They look cute together. And then this is maybe one of the craziest things I've ever done. This is my herbalist swoncho. I had made it, I think it was a year and a half ago. I made it at the very beginning of 2024, in a size 1 because I didn't want to make a size 2, and everyone in the pattern reviews and the notes said that the size 1 was too tight, especially like with this color work at the top. I had made it using ladder backs, but like I had such a learning curve at the top of it, and I filmed a bunch of this for like my like remaking and like fixing mistakes video. I might still publish like a long compilation, probably like about an hour, of me like fixing things, like fixing knit items, because it's very cool. I think I'm proud of all the fixing that I've done this year. I know a lot of people really struggle to fix things, and we all procrastinate it. When something's not exactly right, you're like, you just end up just not wearing it. So I decided, I was having a lot of fun fixing other things. Like I think I was already in the process of fixing this. Oh, I need to go grab the socks that I fixed as well. That was even more recently than this. I was just on a high from how much I've been destashing and how much I've already been fixing, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take this swoncho apart and make it in a slightly larger size. So the original size 1 is 9 repeats, and size 2 is 12 repeats. And so I decided to go more towards the size 2 because I did want it to be pretty big. And I have a different swoncho I've made by the same designer that was like a larger stitch count. So I know like from how that one fits. But that one did not have nearly this many 3-color rows. A lot of this is just all 3-color rows. I haven't done any of my ends weaving. Maybe we should do a Q&A while I weave an ends. We can talk about that at the end, I guess. But this is so gorgeous. It's really pretty in person, but it's showing up really well on camera. So the second time I made this, first of all, I had to go buy more yarn, which was like a very near miss. I went into my local yarn store, and I had decided I had enough caramel. I had bought more caramel to make a peat sweater, and I did math. So I ripped the entire thing out, first of all, which took a while. I do have this on video, so if you want that soon, I can edit it up and put it up. It's very satisfying to watch me rip the whole thing up, and I steamed all this yarn. I didn't steam it all in one day because it's summer and it's so warm, holding fiber over my kitchen. I like boiled water in a pot at my kitchen stove and like held the yarn over it, one section at a time, in like hanks. And then I let it dry out, then I wound it back up. So I had weighed how much caramel yarn I used for 9 repeats, and I multiplied that by 1 2/9. So you want 2 additional repeats. So you had 9 before, so you're still using them, and then you add another 2 out of 9, if that makes sense. That's the math that you do. You multiply the grams that 1 was by 1 2/9, whatever like decimal that is. And so I weighed up my leftover caramel that I had waiting for me, and I was like, that's fine, I don't need to buy more caramel. But I had basically no pink left at all, and not enough gray either. I had like teeny tiny scraps of both of those because I had used them in other projects as well. And so I had to buy another pink and another charcoal gray color. And I went into my yarn store and I was looking at the shelves, and I was like, this yarn is haiku swoncho, by the way, in charcoal, caramel, and dusty rose. If you can't tell, I have like rebought and thought about and planned out this yarn so many times. This is my second time making it. I have the color names completely memorized. I have everything memorized. So I was at the yarn store and I was like, do you have more swoncho somewhere? And she's like, no, like this is a giant box of every swoncho color that I was out of, like every single one, all of them, fully stocked in all swoncho colors. Like it got to that yarn store that day, like that morning, a giant box of every swoncho color arrived, and she didn't even remember that she didn't know it was coming, like when it was coming, when it was gonna get in, and it got there that day. And I was like, yes, I was like looking, it's not even unpacked yet. I'm like, I need that one and that one. Like I know for facts, like I know what colors I need, and it's that one and that one. There was like a different gray on the shelf. I was like, that's not the right gray. I was incredibly stressed when I thought I was gonna have to like wait and order this online. But as you can see, there is no dye lot issues with these, especially not with this amount of color work, but there's no dye lot problems with haiku sueño. You can buy whatever haiku sueños out there, you'll be fine. So yeah, so I remade this. Prepare yourself. I haven't woven in them yet. These are my ladder backs. They're absolutely crazy. At this part up here, I absolutely hated my life. And then by the time I got to here, I accepted that like all these 3 color rows with all these ladders, which is my life now. And you can see that these ladders go on for a while. So once you've had this established, you can still sort of get caught in it. Like I could kind of get my ring caught in it. My ring doesn't even really catch in it as much as you would think. So yeah, the ladders, they really do the job. And I don't know if I was doing my color dominance correctly the first time. Oof. So you can see the top of it actually lays flat. Do I have this backwards? No, I think it's good. It's good. Yeah, it's fine. The ends of it are rolling right now from the bind off I did, so I might need to get them wet. I am willing to redo the bind off if it keeps rolling, but I cast this off yesterday, made the sleeves yesterday. As it was getting to be late at night and I was working on the second sleeve, I was like, I want to finish this today so that I can clear out this yarn, so I can like enter in the leftover of this yarn from the end of August and start fresh in September and have this done. So a lot of the sleeves I was working on when we were watching Chernobyl. I also made my emotional support chicken that I've already given away. I filmed it today really quick. I made that this weekend mostly while watching Chernobyl, and after I had sewn all that together I was working on the sleeve. So a modification I did, by the way, is I decided to do, I did normal ribbing. No, I didn't. This is 3x1. This is 3x1 ribbing on the entire garment. So knit 3, purl 1. I just wanted like a different look than the knit 2, purl 2. I feel like it looks like a little sleeker. On the sleeves, it almost looks like stockinette with just like tiny little stripes in the middle. This has been all over the place. I'm sure you can tell that it's absolutely gorgeous. I am so proud of it. I'm so proud that I had the the mental strength to rip this out, to do math, to bind, to go in and get leftover like more yarn. And I'm so glad I had the strength to do this again. I made like this entire rows at the end basically. I made all these rows from like here to here in like one day. The day after I tested positive for COVID, I just sat in my basement and I knit like 30 rows of color work. I had decided that I wasn't well enough to practice or like clean my house, or like I could have done that, but I was like, I don't want to be doing too much. I don't want to make myself practice. I'm a piano player, by the way, so I mean practice like piano stuff for the coming school year. So instead, I knit all of this bottom rows in one day. I felt like I was actually insane. This time around, what I didn't do last time is I had the colors in a different order. I think I had the gray as the background color last time because it was like the main color, which is a crazy thing to do. So this time I had the pink in the far back, and then I had the gray on top of the pink, like in the foreground, and I had the orange. I had the orange on top of everything here, so in the foreground. But here I had the black on top and the orange like in the middle. So the orange is also like a background, and then the black like pops out because it's on top of the orange. So the leaves are on top of the orange. This middle pattern on top. The flower petals are on top, like the top of the fabric. And then here at the bottom, I put the orange on top as well. So these I switched, so this is a background, but I switched and made sure that these vertical rows were out at the front of the fabric on top, and then I would switch back every single time. So I had all of this labeled, I had all my ladders labeled, and this took me, I think, about a month, maybe 3 weeks or something. It's hard to know because I was working on so much other stuff at the same time. And I do need to weave in my ends, as you can see, but the color work is blocked. I had to block it in order to make sure I was doing the right amount of sleeves and length so that I'd be able to try it on and do the right amount of sleeves. I didn't want to like make sleeves and then block it and then have it like grow. It's so beautiful. I'm really excited to wear this fall. It's got a lot of like looseness now. Like I could actually play piano in it. It actually lays flat on top. I do have clips from my other video of me in the previous version that was too tight. So yeah, this is my swoncho that I remade this summer. I hope this encourages you. Maybe you have something in your life, you have something in your house that you made before that isn't right, and you're like, I want to take that apart to nothing, steam the yarn and make it again, knowing what I know now, knowing what I know about color dominance, knowing what I know about gauge, what size I should be wearing, adjusting the fit, what I don't like about the fit. You go ahead and you rip that thing apart and put a time lapse on when you're ripping it apart, because it's so fun. At least like when you have a time lapse at the end, you can see everything you did like go by like that. It's so satisfying. So go ahead and feel free to do the same thing. About 30 or 20% of the way into remaking it, you will temporarily hate your life and think that this was a crazy thing to do and you're miserable. But just keep pressing on, and once you start to see that the result is better than what you had before, you'll be so happy. You'll be so happy. My final remaking thing, and then I have something else that's like a completed project. My final remaking thing is I had socks that were way too tight. So I am gonna go get them because I fixed them. Okay, these are the socks that I remade. I remade one of them already. Like I had ripped it all the way back, and I did some grafting when I remade it because I didn't want to redo the heel. And I didn't steam the yarn though, and so the yarn was like so wavy and such a mess, and just because of the way socks wear out yarn, it kind of felts the yarn a little bit almost, and it was just bad. So I ended up, sort of for other reasons, I just really love this color. I bought a couple things from a Goosey Fibers like summer sale. They were clearing out a lot of their stock, and these were marked down a lot. So this is Seashore by Goosey Fibers in the sock base. It's like a tan, but it has some like pink moments in it as well, and it knits up looking like this. So it's like sand colored, but with like pink and like bluish, purplish, grayish tan is what I would say it is. So I ended up buying a half ball, so like 50 grams. It comes in as like 54. She always gives you extra. A half ball of this sock base because I was like, oh, I just love it. And I didn't even necessarily order it with the plan of fixing these socks because I had gotten so frustrated with them after the other time I tried to fix them. So one of these socks I've literally knit 3 times. The pattern is Reverie by Allison Lutz, and it's my own fault for knitting. This is color work. I have like analogous colors in mine, so you can't really tell, but there's like 1x1 color work in here, and it is so tight. I have no problem with the top of it, and I love baubles. I think more things should have baubles in them. I'm obsessed with baubles, like hardcore. Like I will add more, if a project has baubles, like I will go out of my way to add more of them. All these cowls, I've made like multiple fall cowls. There's one cowl pattern that has like some baubles near the top, and I will like added a whole nother section at the bottom all the way around the full cowl length to get more bobbles into it. I am obsessed. For a lot of people, I know bobbles are not worth it. I'm like, oh, they are. They're so worth it. Like, I do not care how slow they are, how much work they are in the moment. Like, the second they're off my needle and I can see that they're bobbling, I'm like, yes. Yes. Something about these is this leftover wool I used at the top was like a gradient, and so they're completely different colors from each other. And I don't care at all. I love it so much. I had to rip these back all the way up to here, redo this color. I steamed the yarn. That was the mistake I made when I tried to redo it, is I didn't like I didn't unwind the yarn and steam it and like relax the yarn back to its natural state. So this time I did that. It was a pain in the butt, but I did it. I added like, I think I added like 16 stitches to the top of this, or 14 or something. I think I went up to like 72. So that would maybe only be like 8. I added a lot of stitches here on the sides. And then I did short row heels. This is the one I made a mistake in. Don't look at that. Let's look at the correct one. I did the short row heel like it said, and this pinkish color is by Malabrigo. It's one of their standard like pink colors. If you need the color name, I can get it for you. But it's super pretty. And then there's more color work here after the heel, and then after most of the 1x1 color work was over, I did some decreases to get back to my 64 stitches that I usually use for my socks. And then there was some more color work I used to transition back to the tan. I ended up only using 8 grams total, both socks combined, of the seashore yarn. But because I added so much fabric around here, I did need the extra yarn that I had gotten to finish the toes. So I just finished these like this week. Once I like finished the heel and was on the foot, these went by very quickly. Probably that's just my perspective because I had just made some men's socks, which are giant and take forever. So compared to that, once I got to here, I was like, every time I work on this for 20 minutes, I can see like so much progress, and like I could see that my yarn, which I didn't really have leftover yarn, I could see that my yarn was going away so quickly. And that was pretty fun. So the day that I finished the toes, I do this often when I'm making myself socks and when I'm making 2 at the same time. I make 2 socks at a time using 9-inch circulars and pulling from different ends of the skein. That might be a controversial thing. I know maybe you think I'm crazy. I don't see a lot of people make socks that way. I'm not interested in the like super long 2 at a time, like half and half needle thing that people do. Like, I'm not interested in that. I think I tried it like once. I didn't really like it. I don't have long size 0, size 1 circular needles at all anyway. If I did, I'd probably just break them all the time. So anyway, the day that I finished these, I did the thing I typically do where I make one toe of the first sock and graft it up, and then I turn it right side out because my grafts are inside out, the Finchley graft. And by the way, it's like the best graft ever. This is the Finchley graft. This is the result. It's not like Kitchener at all. It's so much less bulky. It just, you do it inside out, it just looks like this. It's perfect. It's so much faster and less miserable than Kitchener, and it looks correct. I turn it right side out. I put it on one of my feet, so I have a sock on one foot, and then I just like knit the toe of the second sock and turn it inside out and graft it and sew it up, turn it right side out, and then finally I put the second sock on my second foot, and then I just sit there on the couch and like don't move, and I revel in what I've done. Often I would cast on my next socks, like right there, right then and there. I'll be like, all right, got my needles free. I grab the yarn. Like, I still haven't gotten off the couch. I'm already making another sock. Not this time though. I think I was probably ribbing my swoncho as well. So these are my repaired socks. I have been actually able to wear them now, and they do not cut off my circulation. So that's a huge win. Finally, I decided to get this worsted weight yarn out of my stash. I haven't woven in the ends. I used almost all of this black yarn. This is what's left. This is junk. This is basically useless. I made this for my father-in-law. It is a hood for snow blowing. Let me see if I can find the yarn label. That is not it. You know, I might have already recycled it. Nope, here it is. Is this it? Yeah, it is. Oh, it's Plymouth. I had no idea this was by Plymouth. Literally no idea. Aventura, woolen spun, 60% alpaca, 40% merino wool. Alpaca really bothers me, so I got like a little bit of eczema on this hand from these fibers. This worked up in like 3 days. This is from a pattern book. I bought the pattern to make this for my husband. It's a balaclava, and it has this tie to tighten the front of it. I ran out of alpaca yarn when I was making this double knit like closure, and so it is a lot shorter than it's supposed to be. It's supposed to have like 3 more rows, but I don't think it looks bad, and I was able to fit, I made this 3-stitch I-cord. I was able to fit that into it. So what I'm gonna do, I think, is like tie this in a knot so it can't get lost inside of it. And then this is gonna be probably a Christmas present for my father-in-law. It's meant for like snow blowing. So yeah, it has so many beautiful flecks in it. It's really pretty. I could never wear it because the alpaca bothers me. I say as I have it on. But I think this is very functional. Hopefully warm since it's alpaca wool blend. It's very useful for keeping snow like from getting all over you and like into keeping your neck warm and your head warm while you're snow blowing. And you could put a hat on under it and then layer it over and then like tighten it. So I think it's a useful item. Their house burned down in 2024 and the new one's almost done being rebuilt. So I thought it was nice to be like, here's something you can use to plow your new driveway again, because he didn't have to do that last winter. And I have a feeling a lot of his like winter gear didn't survive the fire. So yeah, so I made him this. And this completely used up an entire ball of this Plymouth like alpaca yarn. This is an entire ball of it. And then the black is from my husband's. It was just left over, like I said. So I use it for the double knit band at the bottom. I will have to link the pattern. The pattern is called Lewsky, Lewsky. It is in this book called like Moon and Turtle. And there's a sock pattern in that book I also like. There's like multiple things in the book that I think are interesting. So it is a book I genuinely interested in making more things from, and I think it has useful and like creative ideas in it. So I don't think it is a bad purchase as a book, but I did spend like $20, like $23 just to get that balaclava pattern, and it's worth it to me because it's a really, really good balaclava pattern. I like it. Finally, we are gonna talk through the 1,500 grams of yarn that I have and what I'm planning to do with them. These are my sock leftovers. Some of these are from my Advent. I pulled out like the fall color. Like, I can tell you what all these are from, which is hilarious. This is not a lot of sock scraps. It's just not a lot. I'm planning on making my friend, so the same friend whose husband is getting the socks, I'm planning on making her like a witchy cowl. She has a couple cats. So I think I'm gonna make her this Halloween cowl from last year. This is mine. I made brown cats because my cat is like mostly brown. She has a white cat and then a white cat that has some black on it. So I think I'm gonna make her this pattern with the cats that are white, and I'm gonna look at pictures of her black and white cat and duplicate stitch some black onto some of the cats. So that's the entire concept. This tan is really gonna come in handy. You can see I had like a mini skein of tan that I used at the top, and it was extremely useful. And then I have like 46 grams of this. So this tan is gonna be a good base. And then I will use some of the darker colors against the tan. I might actually use some blue. And then Her patterns, Stephanie Latvin's patterns, they say how many grams or how many yards, like per section, each color is. So when you get to a new section, you can, in advance, like look at and be like, all right, I have 9 grams of this color. Which sections of the pattern would I be able to use that color in and not run out? So I'm gonna do some planning for that. I'm planning on making her a cowl, and that's gonna use like 120 grams of this total. And then other than that, I might make myself a pair of like leftover like stripy fall socks. So that's one plan. More of my sock yarn is here. This I got myself on vacation in Montana. I think I'm gonna make another Luminous tee. I have like a bold blue like jewel tone one. I think I'm gonna also make like this pastel one. So I have this. This was my other purchase from Goosey Fibers. It's called Egret. It's like I would say this is just like, yeah, like a lighter like lavender color. It's like a very light purple, like icy purple, which is like, I'm super into lavender if you can't tell from this year. I'm very, very, very into lavender. So I'm gonna use some of this, I think in this Luminous pattern, sometime in the winter or next spring, because I don't think I would wear it this fall if I make another one this fall. And like the middle of that pattern was a bit, like I didn't have fun in the middle of it. So I think I need more of a break before I make it again. So I have these set aside in a bag where they won't like get light on them. I have this blue leftover set to be like one of the stripe colors in that pattern. And then I have a couple other little sock leftovers in here. And then and my white is in here right now actually. And then all of my pastel yarns from my advents, they're more like spring colored, I've put in here with this. So this is my bag of like light pastel, like spring colored yarns. As you can see, it's not very large. It's like a little gift for me to open in the spring. This is my September sock plans. I got this secondhand on Reddit. It's the Flying Kettle in the color butternut. I love butternut squash. I like the indigo blue purple splotches in it. I love the yellow orange color. So this is going to be my first fall sock knit. And then this is one you haven't seen. My yarn store got these in from Colorado. So these, here it is. These yarns are dyed based off the colors of shelter cats. This is Olivia. And like money is donated back to the shelter, and my yarn store owner gave money from the sales of these. It's like a traveling showcase. They donate money to my local shelter as well for this purchase. So I haven't seen a lot of this before, but I wish more dyers would do them. This is a tweed sock base. You can sort of see the tweeds in there. So this is like a calico one. I thought it was like perfect in time for Halloween. It's a black base with like a little bit of orange sections and tweed flecks. So I'm probably gonna make something that's not too much of a pattern, but maybe a bit of texture. I'm gonna make myself some like Halloween, like creepy calico cat socks. So that's my second fall sock plan. And that was all of my fingering yarns officially. Next, let's do sport. This is my only thing on my needles. Very fortunately, and I didn't do this on purpose, it was just kind of serendipitous, I casted off my swoncho, and as I was finishing the second sleeve of it and getting done with that sleeve, it was like 11:58. I'm like casting it off 11:59. I like finished my swoncho, which was the only thing on my needles by that time, at midnight on the very moment it became September 1st. So I started September 1st with clear needles, and today, because we're going to my brother-in-law's birthday later, I have started the Curiosity Hat by Tori Yu. This is a sport weight yarn. It is, this is Ruby and Rose's Headspace. My cousin gave it to me as a birthday gift earlier in the year, and I think I'm gonna give this hat to my neighbor, who lives right there, because she feeds my cat for me sometimes. Like, I'll just text her and like remind her the house code and be like, can you open Rosie's food? She loves cats and she loves Rosie, so it's totally fine. But I was like, I'm just gonna give it to her as a present because I couldn't figure out who to give this hat to, but I knew it was gonna be a hat. So this is a 2-color hat. It's reversible. It's very similar to my hat, except it's like seed stitch on one side with 2 colors and then stockinette on the other. And I'm gonna use up this Rowan Alpaca Classic. I have 1 ball left from, I think my mom's mittens are this pink color actually. Maybe I should see if she would want this hat, and then I could make a different one for my neighbor, or I could give my neighbor mittens. I'm not sure. So I have cast this on today. It looks like a mess because it's a provisional cast on. So I've already memorized the way the seed stitch pattern goes. It's super easy, so it's very friendly for like birthday gathering. This is the whole project. It's very friendly for birthday gathering, board game knitting, because I'm not going to need to look at it at all. So I just got this on the needle today for a September project. And then we're going to see how that goes. I have this tiny little scrap that matches that just to be the hem, or I don't know what to do about that. But these are the colors that are left over from a sweater I made myself this previous winter. I didn't really get to wear it a lot because it was getting warm, too warm to wear it by the time I finished it. This is Knit Picks Alpaca Boucle. I've been using up as much of it as I can, but I have so much left. And then this is Wonderland sport weight yarn in the color Frost. My mother-in-law has this color blue alpaca mittens that I made for her. And so to match that, I'm gonna make her a hat with like a fluffy option on the brim, probably double-sided, we'll see. So we're gonna see from making the other hat, like how many grams it takes to make a certain length hat. And then I'll be able to plan this hat after that. But I think it looks very similar to the amount of yarn that is called for the Curiosity hat, so I could make another one of those. But I think I would like some of the boucle to be by itself. We'll see. To be determined. So I have those hat plans. These 2 leftovers from my swoncho. I plan to make mittens, but this is the base color and this is the contrast color. I'll have a little bit left over after that, but that's not really a big deal. They'll just join the leftovers pile. So I have a pattern picked out for these mittens. Unfortunately, it is in Norwegian, but that's what like Google Translate is for. And these are I'll be showing this again in a minute because I have a chicken to show you. These are my DK scraps. Oof. I don't think any of these are like the right colors to make like pumpkin or like fall decorations with, but that is still on the table. I'm probably gonna make at least 1 gnome with those. I don't think I even have enough to make any, like even a 3-month like baby cardigan. I just don't think I have enough. And some of these are like, this is really shiny and this is not shiny, so I feel like they don't go together. But that works for a gnome. So I'm planning on making a gnome with that. I don't even count these as part of my stash because they're leftovers from when I did charity knitting for babies in middle school. But I made a couple like hearts this February. I didn't end up finishing them, but I'm gonna make like more hearts in these colors sometime this winter, probably make myself like a Valentine's Day garland. I have leftover like Advent like brightly colored garlands. I've just had it up all year round and people really like it. Not that many people even come over, but they said it was cute. So I think I'm gonna make like a Valentine's Day one. I would like to make a fall one, but I don't have that many fall leftovers. And then finally, when I block things on the kitchen table, my cat tries to lay on them. And then I left the blocking like towel, just a regular towel, on the kitchen table for a bit, and she has been napping on it nonstop. Like, it makes her so happy. And so I decided to make my cat a blanket, and these are the leftover of my yarns. It doesn't matter how ugly, or that one is sparkly, or that one is alpaca, because I don't think she can see colors, and she's a cat. So it doesn't matter how ugly or useless they are in other regards, they're perfect for a cat blanket. So I think if I have leftover of like my other sport weight from those hats, if I have like 10 grams or something left over, I will just add it to the cat blanket. So yeah, that was all of my stash yarn. I have this little bag of like yarn leftovers and ties and things that are good for gnome feet and gnome noses and stuff like that. And then these are just from previous project leftovers in case I ever need to fix anything. And that's all my yarn. It fits like easily into this basket. Right now this is basically empty, but oh, and then I have this. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna crochet some cobwebs with it. So you'll see that this fall. It's like this is the leftover yarn from my father-in-law's balaclava. This is the leftover yarn from that. Like, this is useless. This is my leftovers. We got cat blanket. Put it in there. Valentine's Day, whatever. Put it at the bottom. Leftovers. It's just a bunch of junk. This, I don't know what I'm gonna do with that. Probably nothing. I used to have like a lot more DK yarn, and from the chicken I made, I used a lot of that up, and now it's just at the very bottom of here. And then we got this. I don't even know what to do with this. Happy fall. I will see you as I continue my stash busting journey. Probably the next time I see you, I'll be below 1,000. And things are gonna get pretty dire at that point because it's like, you can't make that much stuff from leftovers. You can't make clothes from leftovers. So, let me know what you think I should buy myself. Bye! I just have to film this chicken before I give her away. The pattern is emotional support chicken. As you can see, I made mine with scraps. I did have to go to Michael's yesterday to get her eyes. I'm pretty happy with them. I'm glad they had brown. From the website, I thought I was going to have to get blue, and we got there, and the brown ones were there, and I was like, all right, you're going to have brown eyes, Miss Chicken. I'm giving this to my church friend who's a teacher. She teaches music, I think like upper elementary, middle school, I don't know what grades, but yeah, I'm just giving her this chicken. I used up this brown color on this tail feather. I used up the green. I used up this variegated color. I used up one of the reds, one of the oranges. There's 2 oranges. You can't tell because they're basically the same color, but there are 2 oranges in there. And I used up these white scraps on the bottom and this like fuzzy tan scrap. So this is what the bottom of it looks like. I didn't even know when I started making this that I needed to knit a piece for the bottom. And I was most of the way through, and they were like something about the underside of the bird, and I was like, what? I made this in 2 days. I love the beak, the face, the shaping of this. It's a really nice pattern. I was doubtful you knit it from tail to head. As I was working on it, I was doubtful that it was gonna work. And then when I sewed the head together and stuck the eyes on, and the red things I made, they didn't make sense to me by themselves, but I sewed them on exactly like as it said, and immediately, like, it's very clearly a chicken with a lot of personality. So I'm really happy with her. And there's some, no, it was an illusion. There's no yarn sticking out. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. You've seen emotional support chickens before. You've seen them before. This is nothing new. I do wish I hadn't done this white stripe back there, or I wish I'd done like tan instead. I don't know. You know, it's fine. It's fine. It looks like she has like a necklace or like some kind of like cute little feathers there. I'm really happy with the colors. Anyway, I'm almost out of DK scraps, and I realized that the very last of this red and then the olive color and the brown, these couple colors, are acrylic leftovers from like 12 years ago, something crazy. I think 13 or 14 years ago, I made my high school boyfriend the Doctor Who scarf, like that super long knit garter scarf, and I was in high school, so I didn't have money, so I made it out of like acrylic yarn, probably from Michael's, I'm not sure. And the very last of that yarn, it's no longer in my stash anymore. That's how long shiny acrylic leftovers can live in your stash. You can be 30 years old, married to someone else, and been at your job for 7 years, and you are still using up a high school boyfriend leftovers. I don't know. I'm sorry, but I have to go deliver this chicken. As you can hear from the crying, it's my cat's lunchtime. I have to go and stand near her while she eats lunch. Goodbye! Papa. I'm gonna go brighten the lives of some public school children. Make their days better. They can hug me when they're feeling sad. So apparently I forgot to film the shawl that I finished. Oh, it doesn't fit in the frame. Need to back it up. It's a little bit like multiple personalities because it's inspired by the houses of Reykjavik. You can see like the house sections in the middle, which is what you start with. That's what I had done last time. Then you've got this brioche section that takes like almost 40 grams of each color, so it's not suitable for mini skeins. I used like a, how dare. Okay, I use a sock leftover for the knit color of the brioche. We're never gonna finish this video. I'm never gonna finish it. And then for the bottom, I used a sock leftover for the gray, and then I did some fall colored stripes, and then I had to use a different color for the bind off. So I did an orange stripe and then a brown I-cord bind off at the very end. So this is very circusy and very like fall colors. And then the top of it, in contrast to that, is a lot more neutral. I wanted all these brioche sections, these two, I guess, to be the same, and the background color of the in-between sections to be the same. And so I was very limited to these because I didn't have enough grams of many of my sock leftovers at that point. So what I was left with was these couple like neutral options. And then I did kind of a fade from blue to green to like tan to like a light pink. My cat is playing now. I did like a fade from these like pearl bump rows. So overall, I'm very happy with it. I don't really usually wear it like a traditional shawl. I usually wear my shawls like scarves. So I have been wearing it like this. Just like a scarf. Although you really can't see the blocks of color in that case. So yeah, this is it. I'm very happy with it. I didn't say in this video, it's from the last video, but the pattern is by Stephen West. It's a pretty new release. Yay! As you can see, it goes with like most fall outfits that you would want to wear. Why is she just getting a blanket? Do you need your own blanket instead of a towel? Do you want a blanket? Yeah? She's washing her leg right now. I think you need your own blanket. I think you do.